Hello there, it's Mike.
And Katie.
And this week it's episode 166.
The one with the romance.
On Cup of Rad. Romance. Flowers. Hearts. Red. Pink. Romance. Sensuality.
Oh.
Coffee.
Romancy stuff.
Strawberries. Chocolate.
Flowers? You said flowers? You said roses.
Did I say roses?
I think so.
I said something. Romance.
I don't know. You said coffee, and I was just like, ooh, coffee, what?
Right? Exactly. Yeah. There it is. Hot, warm, steamy.
Oh, see? You know what? If you're talking about romance
or coffee.
It's good times right there.
Valentine's Day. For some, it's...
A couple weeks later.
For others, it's romance. And for others, it's hell.
Yeah.
But you know what? Today we're talking about romance. What do you do with romance?
Are you going to say that every time like that? That's fabulous.
It's like a smolder in your ears.
Right? What is
romance.
Oh, snap.
You know what you're thinking right now? Romance. And it's okay if you fall in love with the sound of my voice in this moment. Everyone does at some point in their life.
I was going to say, as if they weren't already.
You succumb to romance.
I'm going to succumb to this drink of coffee.
With romance.
Giant cup of coffee. So romantic coffee.
Yeah, so hopefully you're doing all well and everything, and it's been a minute since we talked to you.
Yeah, wow, this month kind of flew by, and we had weird schedules and some sickness, and no one wanted to hear coughing on here, so, we thought we would just tap the brakes.
Instead, you get romance.
Because romance wouldn't have been nice. Romance.
Right. Yeah. So Valentine's, we did watch a few romantic movies. And they're not your typical romantic movies.
No, we just took advantage of watching one that we had wanting to watch. And we kept... It was one we wanted for our family, and we kept telling Kiddo, and then every time we would say it was actually... I would give in. Mike would be like, no, Katie, it's actually a romantic movie. And I would fight him on it. And he's like, no. And then Kiddo was just like, no, I'm not going to watch this. So because it was Valentine's weekend, we were able to be like, no, we're watching a romantic movie. And this is a kid's movie we can watch. Or family movie.
It's not a kid's movie.
Not a kid's movie. Family movie. So yeah.
We themed it a bit. So we started with A Knight's Tale.
Yes.
So the story of lowly servant boy
William
that has decided to go off and become a knight, even though he's not allowed to be a knight, and he wins the hearts of thousands upon in his glorious with his
giant stick.
With his giant stick that he beats across other men's chests and face, sometimes impaling them and knocking them to the ground
With his mighty stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he catches the eye of
his mighty wood.
Of his, yes. It's so big. It takes two to hold it with its size and girth.
Yeah. And
he ends up falling in love with
what appears to be a princess-esque type person. Yes.
So this
is like, I'm impressed with your stick.
Yeah.
And what you can do with it.
And what you can't do with it.
And what you can.
So, this was a big movie when this came out.
Yeah.
This was 1999.
This was a big movie for Heath Ledger.
I think it was 1999.
Sure. Now we're checking. Stand by for correction if needed. I love this movie. I watched it so many times. And you know what's funny? This is the one I was arguing about, that it wasn't a romance movie. And now I watch it again. I'm like, it was such a romance movie. Like, I was okay with it.
Sorry, it was 2001.
Oh.
I was off by a couple years.
Yeah, okay. Well, 2001 it was.
But yes, it stars Heath Ledger, Mark Addy. Also had Paul Bettany.
He was my favorite part.
And Alan Tudyk.
Mark Bettany was one of my favorite. I loved him. So that was always... I love his character in it, too.
Jeffrey Chaucer.
I love that he is actually a real author. He's playing an actual real author.
Yeah.
But I love his flourishes of his words. And as you had said, it was the original wrestling, because they have their big selling up the ring and these big personas that they have to have, which was quite funny.
Yeah. It was interesting to see them take that to show a lot of the movie is trying to use more modern storytelling and elements to give the viewer the feeling of what it would have felt like back then.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why there's the modern music. There's the hype man. Like it's not exactly how it would have gone down.
Yeah. It's not historically accurate, but it's what they would have. Yeah. What it would be like now if we were doing those same types of things.
And the beauty of the way this one was crafted, I think, is that it doesn't feel like a spoof.
Yes.
Right.
It's not at all trying to make fun of it.
Yeah. As much as it seems a bit goofy to have him out there and like hyping him up like a wrestler would be hyped, or the fact that the crowd singing "We Will Rock You," right?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel at all like it's trying to make fun of it at all.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's what kind of was a different feeling for the film.
Well, because I remember it being one of the I had the soundtrack on CD, and that was just one of the greatest things ever, that it had such modern it was modern. It was old music, but it was modern compared to the time period that it was portraying.
Yeah.
And different types of honestly, that was one of the first times I had actually heard Bowie's Golden Years. And I didn't know about it. Right. Yeah. And so that actually introduced new music to me.
Yeah.
From that, which I thought was really cool.
Well, that's the thing, is that you can find those moments like that, and you go off and you find something new and exciting.
Yeah.
So I think that for a lot of people also did open people's eyes up to different music, because it was not the usual. Because usually you didn't even, at that time, hip hop was really still kind of,
it was still big and
taking off, in general, and right? Versus the classic rock sound. That's really,
it's more now popular.
Yeah.
Again.
It's kind of made its full circle through. So, but as a RADnesia watch, it still was quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
I never really, it was slower than I remember.
Yeah, I forgot about that too. It definitely was a bit more to build to it.
Yeah.
And it was so funny. Kiddo got so frustrated when he was supposed to lose for the girl. If you love me, you'll lose.
Oh yeah.
He was so mad.
I think we're all frustrated.
Why were you doing that? And then she goes and changes her mind. He was so angry, and it was so funny. I was like, yeah, this is welcome to women. Like, oh my goodness, I'm not even gonna try to defend it and say that it's terrible.
Yeah, that's about the one.
And
part of the movie
I was very angry with it too.
Right?
I had forgotten about it, and I'm like, this is awful.
You will do me the honor of losing every match to show that you love me.
Oh, I was angry too, but I loved how Kiddo really caught on to that. That was just not okay, you know. And definitely the switch. He was just mortified with that, which was quite funny. But no, he really did enjoy it. I think being it is a romance, yes, but it's a different style because there's humor and there's action and it's such a different portrayal than what he, I think, assumed a romance would be.
Yeah.
And even for myself, it's a nice reminder. And I still, really enjoyed it. As I say, I watched it so much when I was little. And, it still had
You weren't that little.
Oh, yeah. When I was younger. Not little. Little implies like a child.
Yeah.
I was a teenager. Let's be honest.
Well, I think that's the thing, is that we always assume that a romance has to be a tearjerker and has to be something that cripples us, but this is clearly a romantic film, because as much as he full-heartedly wants to be a knight, everything about it in the middle is the romance that builds, because he does everything possible to be with his lady.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and then you have the feud that shows up between him and the Count, is it? Or I can't remember his name. The Black Knight.
Right, they're always a Black Knight.
Right?
Count Adamar.
Adamar, there we go. Because it's the battle for the girl too, right? And so that is definitely the center with the romance as well. I also love the Prince of Wales and that whole storyline with that. That's so endearing to me, and even more so now than it was when I was younger.
Yeah.
For the fact that I love that he says, we're not supposed to run against him, but he chose to be here. He knows the risks. He's not here to catch people trying to actually, stand up against him or something like that. He actually genuinely wants to be there. And for Ledger's character he acknowledges that because he feels the same way. Yeah. He just wants the ability and the chance to be there, even though he's not supposed to be doing it.
Yeah.
And they're just very different spectrums of it. And, having that understanding was just made the end so monumental. Right. And, I really love that. So it was very, very heartwarming.
Did you cry?
I don't know if I cried. I think I might have a little bit, but I don't remember it. Because if it wouldn't have been that portion, it would have been something to do with his dad. I really do love the he changed his stars thing. And then, when his dad hears his name being yelled, especially when they're actually chanting William. Yeah. That's pretty intense. But I don't remember crying. If I did, it was completely without even realizing it, which isn't good.
No, I don't remember you crying, but I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if that was.
But it's also something I have actually seen it so much, but I seem to cry at everything now, so I've gotten weepy in my old age.
I'm leaking. So yeah, no, as I think it's a good kind of film if you're not really a romantic person. Yeah. If you're not really looking for a traditional romance kind of thing. Yeah. So you're not really dealing with that rom-com feel where, it's a well-rounded one that has enough ooey gooey to capture both sides. Yeah. As well as the action and the humor for any other side. Yeah. So I think it's
Alan Tudyk is hilarious too.
Right. And I think that it's just, it's one that you can cozy up and watch and have a good time with.
And there's so much girl power in it too for 2001. The Lady Blacksmith standing up and being like, you know what, I can do this just as good if people just give me a chance. Look at me, I'm amazing. And then even with the lady friend there, she's very much like, I'm going to do what I want. Yeah. And you aren't going to treat me like I'm not supposed to be doing this type of stuff. Yeah. So there's that too.
Very good. Yeah. So it was on Netflix. That's where we found it. So it may or may not be in your area. Who knows?
Good luck finding it.
Right. So definitely if you're looking for a middle of the road romantic film, A Knight's Tale.
Middle of the road. Oh, I did that.
Yeah, you did. You did.
So what else did we watch, Mike?
So we decided to keep a bit on the Ledger train. The Heath train.
Because it's like, well, we saw an opportunity for a category, a topic. Yeah. And Heath Ledger, and did he do any other romantic movies? Oh, he did.
He did.
10 Things I Hate About You. Mm-hmm. Which is also connected to medieval-esque times. Not really Shakespearean times, but still, it's like old agey things. I thought it was quite funny.
Yeah, old-timey.
So 10 Things I Hate About You is a modern telling of The Taming of the Shrew, actually a Shakespearean story. So Heath Ledger plays their high school students, Julia Stiles, and I can't remember her sister, actress there. I don't remember the actress. I know. So but Julia Stiles is a kind of a badass. Well, she's a shrew. She doesn't really like anyone, and so it's the idea of the kind of the jock guy wants to date her sister, and is trying to the challenge then is to get Julia Stiles' character to go on a date, so then her younger sister can go on a date. Yes. And they pay Ledger's character to take her out. And it's the stereotypical story of forced into the situation and you don't really want to, but then you end up falling in love.
Yep. And then a ridiculous moment breaks you apart. Yeah. So it's got the traditional rom-com.
It's just like She's All That.
Yeah.
You know, it's the exact same story. It's a very archetype type story, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, all romantic comedies follow that same beat, right?
And that's one thing that I kind of like, though, about Knight's Tale, by the way, circling back, is it didn't follow that same archetype. As much as the frustrating portion was that you're going to lose for me.
Yeah, but they never broke up because
exactly.
It wasn't,
so that's what was nice.
Because that's always...
And that's why I didn't see it as a romance.
That's always... You've been conditioned. Because that's the thing, is the romantic comedy, it's the will they, won't they, they fall in love.
And then the guy does something stupid. And...
yeah, apparently.
It's not the way it really works, but in movies they do it.
And then they break apart only to find sadness, and then they realize that they're better together. Yeah. Right? Like, it's...
So, 10 Things I Hate About You did exactly that.
Yeah, they did. But it had a lot of heart.
I do really like
because it's not as necessarily... Because it's also
growing up as well,
It's also not nearly as frustrating as some romantic comedies.
Because it really makes sense when they have their problems. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't take forever for her to come around and realize things, right?
Yeah.
It takes longer for them to actually set it up to start dating, which is kind of cool. That it feels... almost more real then to see their kind of friendship and relationship developing.
Yeah.
You know, so I did like that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of good humor in it, and I quite enjoyed watching it. It had been eons since I'd watched that. Yeah. You know, I'd watched A Knight's Tale multiple times before, but I think I've only ever watched 10 Things I Hate About You once.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I was when we had found it on streaming, I was just like, oh my gosh, yes, because this was
one it showed up on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I couldn't. So I've watched it since we got Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
Because it was one I didn't have on disc. I have She's All That. I have a lot of those ones, and I didn't have that one. So when I found it, I was like, I have to watch this.
Well, because it ended up in the wasteland that was that of Touchstone and Hollywood Pictures.
Oh, okay.
See, that was sort of like never really released, right? So
I love when he's trying to throw himself at the sacrificial embarrassment altar and does his whole song and dance routine on the football stadium. Yes. That's fabulous. And then getting the marching band in on it and everything.
Oh, it's brilliant. It's a great way to get seen.
Yeah. Right. And to really make sure that you're not just trying to hide it. You know, you are announcing it to the world. Yeah. And I love it's so true, the rumors that can be spread when you don't know anything about someone, and it's always something simple to explain it, and yet just the lack of knowing and what people's imaginations will run for, and how easy it is to have a facade. And then just like, well, people believe this anyway, so might as well just lean into it. Yeah. And it's just so funny because it's so real.
Right? It totally is. But yeah, I think that's another one that's super fun and worthwhile to watch, especially if you haven't seen it, or if you have seen it, go back and revisit it, because it's still on a teenage lens. So as you get older, it's harder to really relate to it. Mm-hmm. You also see kind of how hilarious it is to see how much drinking is involved.
Yeah, as a teenager, I think I thought that there was a lot more drinking going on because movies show that they were supposed to be drinking. I don't know if it really was happening or not. And then I think about that as a parent now, and I'm like, oh my God. Right? What do teenagers do?
They're doing all that in middle school now, so.
Right, yeah. I just got younger.
Right. So 10 Things I Hate About You. I believe Katie gives it her stamp of...
RADnesia approval.
There we go. So look at that. A double RADnesia on romance that turned out to be rad.
Good, yeah. Like... Heath Ledger for the win.
Yeah, right. And there's other Heath Ledger ones.
And that was one thing we really, this one specifically, really felt the similar accent to Hemsworth.
Yes.
Very much so in this one.
Yes. That the Australian accent, you could tell because he'd gotten rid of it so much for a lot of his other movies. Yeah. But this was his first theatrical film.
Over here, yeah.
Yeah. And he'd done TV and stuff before that, but this is sort of theatrical.
Yeah, and it was still such a heavy.
And you could hear those same beats.
Yeah, exactly. It's not just the sound; it was how he said things, how he the inflection of it. The way he delivered, right, was very much like that still.
So, I thought it was quite interesting to hear that.
Right.
So, we're going to give a speed round of a few of Katie approved romantic movies.
Oh, no.
Because we all know how much Katie loves romantic movies.
I know we've talked about a few of these before, but
so if you are you got somebody over and they're like, "Hey babe, let's watch a movie. What are you putting on?"
My go-to is if I feel like watching a romantic movie, I first and foremost go to Dirty Dancing.
Okay. What about Dirty Dancing makes you want to watch that? So this isn't so much like, "Hey babe, this is my man's done messed up. I need
to look at Patrick Swayze."
So there we go. Let's be honest what it is.
I like the energy that's in it with the dancer crowd. I like the dancing aspect because it's not something I can do as well.
Yeah.
So I love that kind of that hidden different world and her changing and moving out of her little bubble that she was in.
Yeah.
And he's incredibly hot, and like the way that she changed their connection and their relationship with it, how much she changes throughout the movie. And so it's sexy. It's not romantic as much as it's a sexy movie.
Because it's the idea of the hot summer camp,
right? And I love the true love and connection that they have for each other, though, because she's, at the end of it that they don't have anything else that continues, and yet the belief that they have in each other about what they're capable of doing and standing up for each other. And I love the making sure you look at not assuming the way that someone is. Like her dad assumes that Johnny is the one that knocked up the girl and left her with this kid and all the abortion stuff, and he never even corrects it. It's the concept of the classes and how you just assume you're not good enough for anything, and that her dad actually does say sorry and turn back around and say, I realize I was wrong. And so there's just a lot of good messages in it. Overall, it's not just romance, it's friendship and connection to people and trusting people and standing up and doing the right thing between, just because you have money doesn't mean you're better than someone. Yeah. And it is your actions that you have. And so like, there's so much good about it, and I can watch that movie over and over and over and over again. So
Dirty Dancing, if you haven't watched it, you need to watch it.
You need, yeah.
So there you go. I like literally, I know there's probably one person that listens to this that hasn't watched it and probably should go watch it.
Yes. A second one?
Yeah. Let's try to get 5.
Oh, good gracious.
Can you get 5?
5.
Let's say this is 3 then. How's that sound?
You know what? I guess, well, it's a romance. One of my similar with Dirty Dancing though is Grease. I grew up with that one.
It's a romance.
Oh, I know it is. I grew up with that one. I can sing all the songs, and I know that movie backwards and forwards. And, I don't know why I love it. It's been part of my life for so long, but yeah, it's the song, it's the musical aspect of it that is just so interesting.
It's also, and this could make some people angry, but it's also the female fantasy. It's the bad I'm the boy. Good girl. I'm going to get the bad boy and I'm going to change him.
Yes.
And everything's going to fly off into the sunset and we're going to be happily ever after.
But I love though that I've always loved that it wasn't actually, she actually is the one that changed though. Yeah. Because I appreciate that he was trying, but I love her outfit at the end. Yeah. And I love that they found a compromise in the middle, and it's almost the idea of just being themselves. Yeah. And either way, just breaking out of the mold of what they're supposed to be and just being your authentic selves.
There you go.
So yeah, so there's that. A more modern one I love is Fool's Gold.
Oh, you went right to it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Fool's Gold. Sorry. Yeah, that's fine. That's 100% fine.
I this one feels like, because of the treasure seeking, it's like I love those types of novels and the adventure aspect. And so I love it more because of the adventure and the working together to solve a problem.
And that was Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah. I don't really like Matthew McConaughey in a lot of things, but I really like him in this. So I haven't watched that movie for a while now.
Yeah.
But that was like a go-to romance movie for a long time for me.
Well, I think it built up the action and the comedy and the...
Yeah. And as I say, I love it first and foremost for the action and the working together, but I still think this one is also unique for its romance aspect because they're already broken up from the beginning.
Yeah.
It's the reconciliation of it versus, you know, a little bit of a different style one is The Parent Trap.
That is
just super
fast,
different. I know, right? I just
this
realized
is one
about
you can watch with your kids,
right? I just remembered that because that is a romance movie.
Yeah.
It's also built into family as well, and it's family reconciliation, but it's based upon romance and trying to figure out how you can bring a family together because yes, they're trying to reconcile but they've been separated for forever, right? And so yeah, that was another one. I grew up watching the Haley Mills one, right? And I actually really liked the Lindsay Lohan one when they redid it. I really had no problem with it. I thought it was really well done.
I just found out that it's not, the H is silent.
Lindsay Lohan?
Yeah.
Weird. Have I never ever heard her name said out loud by people?
She so this is gonna be right.
Or did she change it?
No.
Okay.
So she did. She started a TikTok apparently. And she said her name. Hi, it's Lindsay Lohan.
Weird.
And I'm on TikTok now. That was her first post. And it blew up.
And no one knew either?
Everyone was like, well, we've been saying her name wrong all these years.
How weird.
Yeah.
How weird.
So.
Huh. I learned something new then.
Yeah.
Look at where that ended up. You know? Who would have known that it went from all the romance movies to learning about her name?
Right? So there you go.
I think I'm running out of ideas. I know that there's a few more, but
well, just one more if you can, because you did because you gave.
I should have went and looked at my little romance shelf.
You did
Dirty Dancing, Grease, Gold,
and Parent Trap. So like, got 4. I can't accept 4. It's got to be an odd number. There's got to be at least one more in your stable that you would recommend.
What can like Little Mermaid or Rapunzel be in there?
If you want, if you feel that's a
no, it's so weird because I think about every Disney princess movie, they're all romance movies.
Oh, they are totally.
But they fall into just a Disney movie. That's really funny. I'm trying to think of well, the other thing I had mentioned earlier was She's All That was something I really loved, but that's definitely a teenage, growing up type thing. That was, again, my product of my time because Freddie Prinze Jr. was just gorgeous, right? Of course. Like, oh my goodness. But I watched that a lot as well. It was that, if She's All That and 10 Things I Hate About You that were the kind of the go-tos when I was that age. Yeah. And I really liked how it's that idea of breaking out of your mold and being something different than what you expect. And I really like
that's almost a theme of all the ones that you suggested.
Yeah.
In some form.
I like his character, that he's immediately so much more well-rounded than, because he's not actually mean even to begin with. He always was a decent jock, which he's not just a jock, I guess. He is the school president, or the class president, but he's not, he's just in a different league and he's just more popular, but he's not mean. Yeah. And I like that, he's likable from the very beginning. It's his friends that are douchebags, right? So I really like that he's smart and he's nice and he sticks up for people. He just makes an effort to stick up for different people with what he's trying to do, right? So. No,
that's fair.
So there you go. I gave you.
There you go. That's excellent. That's a great list for people to go check out and find. So, Katie's approved romantic movies.
There we go.
So now for something without any romance. Well, I guess there was some romance, but it's the dust in the wind romance.
Yeah.
Something that you didn't really even realize was available, and I was like, hey, because you like this, you want to watch it, and you went, wait, what?
Yeah. And then I didn't want to stop watching it.
Mm-hmm.
So Reacher season 1 came out on Amazon, and so I've slowly been collecting the Reacher series. I have 10 plus books, or less than that, but close to. I love the storyline. I love the character. I love all of the books, and so I was really interested to try this out and see if they could really capture it, because I didn't really have any problems per se. Like, I wasn't angry about the Tom Cruise movie, but it wasn't memorable enough to be like, yes, that was definitely Reacher. Yeah. And it felt just like a Mission Impossible type movie. Right?
And that came out of that his company was going to lose it, and they needed to put it in production, and they rushed those films out so they didn't lose the money that they'd put into.
Yeah, because he didn't even want to play Reacher.
He never actually wanted to play Reacher.
Yeah.
But they just couldn't get things organized enough to be able to get them off the ground. Now
because he doesn't fit that character as well. As I say, he felt more like it was just Mission Impossible.
About producing it, because he liked the character, but then things just didn't work out, right?
Yeah.
And the one thing, though, I guess you could say that we got out of it, though, is Christopher McQuarrie. If it hadn't been for the time that they worked together on that.
Who is that?
The director. We would not have been able to get all the awesome Mission Impossible stuff, right?
Oh, okay. That's who. So, well, yeah, because then the later Mission Impossibles. Okay.
Yeah.
So we broke into watching this, and from the first episode, I was just like, this feels like they are capturing his character correctly. They have the vibe of the character down, the focused, paying attention to everything, the detective aspect. They had the his size is a big portion of the story. It's one of his character features, and I loved the feeling of it, and it felt like one of the books.
Yeah.
And it's been years now since I've read The Killing Floor, so I didn't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But it was fun to be able to not remember exactly how it was going to turn out. But all I could feel was the joy of really feeling like it was a Reacher novel.
Yeah. And
that's all that mattered. So I was really happy, and I loved it all the way through. So
no, for someone that has never read any of them, it was quite the enjoyable series because it was fun. It had the action that was there. Mm-hmm. It didn't really slow up, which was really cool. Alan Richardson, he did a pretty good job, because usually he's played Aquaman, he's played Raphael, he's played Hawk from Titans, right? So now he's playing another big LP character or IP character, right? So it's just interesting to see, but all of them he's played, they're all been a little bit different. And this is the most he hasn't been just the big party jock.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right, when you think about it, right? Like, he's a little closer to his Hawk character.
I was gonna say I don't know Hawk very well,
so
right?
Just
other than what you had said.
So, but it's kind of cool. He's not as hot-headed, right? So more controlled.
And that's the thing. It's like he almost has a Batman vibe to him, right?
Yeah.
Because he's very controlled, and he's always paying attention, and he's just learning lots of things, but he also has a lot of heart and care about making sure the right thing is done, but also a no bullshit attitude of, no, I'm gonna kill these people. Like, they're not gonna stop me. This is just what has to happen. And the connections and the understanding of the way things work. The psychological profile of things, of trying to figure out the motivation behind people. And it's such a complicated story, and yet it comes together so nicely. Yeah. And I think the idea of doing it like a series is so much better than a movie, because there's so much more to understand and character development than for something like this deserves a series then, rather than a movie.
Well, what's nice though, there is the bonus of the streaming services and stuff that they can then, of course, do the violence.
Yeah,
they can do the language, but they can also then not have to be constrained to the advertising, which says that you need so many episodes to fill in my dollars to be able to show my product.
Mm-hmm.
Where now they can take that and be like, well, here's 8 episodes and the season's over and we've told the story, right? And there's one bonus of that, right?
Oh, yeah,
totally. They can just do that. And it has been greenlit for a second season, so that it hasn't been announced what book they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love that Lee Child is producing it too, and he's intimately involved with it.
Mm-hmm. So they're taught.
He's the author, by the way.
Yeah.
Of the books.
So the idea that it'd be curious to see which ones they pick from there, and so. No, it was quite an enjoyable series. It was fairly action packed and interesting. Right?
I love how they were starting to see a little bit of flirting between him and Roscoe, and you were like, he has a woman at every port, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's like, yep.
Yeah, it's the James Bond, like,
yep.
Each season I'm gonna have a different encounter.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really liked her. She was, well, between her and Finley, like, really enjoyable characters. Like, you were really happy that they were
clean
part
and
of
survived.
Part of the team there, right? So so that was really excellent.
Yeah. So Reacher, it is on Amazon Prime, so you can check
I would
that
highly
out there.
recommend it.
It's only 8 episodes, so not a huge commitment. If you're into kind of the military cop crime drama with action, there's some pretty cool fight scenes in it as well.
Yeah.
So definitely worth checking out for sure. So there it is. That's it.
Yeah.
That's this week's or this time's.
This time
a little dip of caffeinated earhole wettening, as we would say in the biz.
Earhole wettening. It's terrible. Like, I can feel that what it would be, and it just makes me kind of cringe.
Moist.
Wait, what is it?
Romance.
You were going to say moist, weren't you?
Moist romance.
Oh, even better.
That's how you like it.
So you have people go, oh, okay.
Yeah, right? Your romance is moist.
This has gotten weird. We're gonna
Not at all. It's gone perfectly fine.
You missed this, didn't you?
You totally did.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
but we got another episode coming up shortly.
Yeah.
We got to make sure we kind of catch back up and
grind the wheels.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful day.
And remember, stay rad, dudes.